Today we make Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey using the same skill and care that made it a favorite among America's frontier settlers.
Hello, and welcome to Revue de Bourbon, podcast dealing with all things bourbon. I'm your co-host, Dusty, and along with my co-host, Wayne, we're just a couple of guys who love to talk about bourbon.
Yep.
So, whether you're at home, at work, or just stuck in your car, sit back, relax, kick your feet up, pour yourself a drink, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Yeah, welcome back to Revue de Bourbon, everybody. Hey. Okay. Yeah, here we come. A snorting and a fussing. Yeah, once again, this is Revue de Bourbon.
I'm excited.
I am Dusty, and that is...
I am Wayne Butler.
Yeah, how's it going, Wayne?
Oh, pretty good.
You still living the American dream?
Absolutely.
Good.
I focus every day on living the American dream.
Yeah, you probably wake up and do a little, like, you know...
USA!
Yeah. You just jump out of bed with a fist pump.
Yeah. Kind of like Stan on American Dad.
Is that the offshoot of
It's like Family Guy,
Guy?
except a lot funnier.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's better?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a Mike Judge joint?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But they actually took it off of Fox. Now it's on TBS.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Where things are funny.
Yeah.
Isn't that their motto?
I don't have cable, and I haven't found where I can watch it on the internet yet.
Yeah, I cut the cable a long time ago,
Yeah,
too.
me too.
God,
Actually,
I'm so glad I did that.
I've never paid for cable. My parents had it briefly when I was like 12 or so.
Really?
But that's it.
Good. Good for you. Those bastards have taken so much money from me.
Yeah, well, now they're trying to own the internet.
I know, and they're winning.
Yeah, they
It
are.
sucks. But you know what? With things like that, I start to get mad, and then I'm like, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, you're
There's
going to...
nothing.
Here's how much the internet costs. How much are you willing to pay?
All right. Well, whatever I can afford. It'll be the most I can. All right. So we've got an exciting episode lined up for everyone. We are doing Basil Hayden's, something we haven't done before, and a pretty popular bourbon.
Yeah.
It's in the Jim Beam line. We've talked about it. We've referenced it a lot in other episodes. I got a bottle the other day, and I thought, hell, it's time to do a review.
About time.
Yeah, right here with you guys. So we've got that. We started off with a cocktail Wayne and I did upstairs called the Murphy Street Raspa 2.0. It's pretty edgy name.
It's kind of like the 1.0, except it's another
like
0.0.
double.
A
Yeah.
whole nother.
Yeah, this is the upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that means. This came straight from basilhaydens.com, which did you see the website?
It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know what they're trying to do there.
It's like the ambassador of Basil Hayden's, like the main cocktail maker is the website, the guy.
I want to be a whiskey ambassador. We need you to go around and promote this and drink it.
I couldn't understand the website. It's a cool website.
Yeah.
There are lots of great cocktail recipes and, history and all that, but I was just a little confused. It's worth going to. There's a lot of good recipes on there. I pulled this straight from there. This cocktail consists of Basil Hayden's, sweet vermouth and dry vermouth, orange bitters, and maple syrup. And the ratio to that is, let's say it's 2 ounces bourbon, and then it's 2 ounces everything else. So 2 ounces of both the vermouth and maple syrup with a couple splashes of bitters. So it's a pretty simple cocktail to remember. It's served in a taller glass, preferably with crushed ice, and it's a shaken one, garnished with a cherry, and there you go, the Murphy Street Raspa 2.0.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yes. What do you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. I like maple nut goodies candies. I thought it tasted a lot like that.
I think you're right. I haven't had that in a really long time, since I was a youth.
A ute?
A ute, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
That's pretty short.
Yeah, I had that. I remember having that in Werther's candies.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah, my grandma always gave me those. Yeah, they're good.
That's who always has them.
I know. It's like everybody loves them, but only old people buy them. Yeah, it tasted a lot like, what was it called? The maple nut?
Maple nut goodies.
Really good. It tastes like a cocktail. You know, I wouldn't necessarily order it.
No.
But
It'd go good with your waffles in the morning.
Oh, man. Like I said, it tasted like a cocktail. And that's what I usually look for. Like, does this taste like a well-balanced cocktail as opposed to just throwing some things together?
Yeah, sometimes you get the Dr. Pepper effect, and you get 23 flavors put on there, and you can't tell what it is.
You think you're doing something great by putting all these things in that you like.
Usually, the more steps involved, the worse off you're going to be.
You know, this is just stuff I had in my cabinet. The bitters, the orange bitters I got from Buffalo Trace last time I visited there.
Yeah.
That's a really good bitters.
Well, if you didn't have orange bitters, you could probably,
just regular bitters would be
substitute bitters and like just a tiny little bit of orange zest or maybe
there you
orange
go.
Juice or something. I don't
know. Stick an orange peel in there and it might be even better.
If you just took a twist of an orange peel and shook it in the shaker, it'd probably have almost the same effect.
I think Basil Hayden's is a good cocktail bourbon.
Yeah,
just for starters.
So. It's 80 proof, so it's you could use it to make any cocktail.
Overall, as a cocktail bourbon, I think it's a great premium bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the premium cocktail bourbons, for just your standard bourbon, you've got, I think, definitely Woodford Reserve. And then if you wanted something with a little bit more character and kind of a, going to stand out in a cocktail, this one would probably be pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. Now, it's, not terribly budget friendly. It's not too bad. That comes in around low 30s, mid 30s. That's about where Woodford is, right?
It might be even a little more.
Probably mid 30s.
Yeah.
That was once again the Murphy Street Raspa 2.0. Moving on, we are going to go straight, dive in headfirst in a shallow pool with the review of Basil Hayden.
All right.
Wayne, take it away.
Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. When Basil Hayden Sr. began distilling his smooth bourbon here in 1796, Kentucky was but 4 years old, and George Washington himself, it doesn't say that, was president. Today, we make Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, using the same skill and care that made it a favorite among America's frontier settlers. And it says it's distilled and bottled by Kentucky Springs Distilling Company, Claremont, Frankfort, Kentucky, USA. So both of those places. Don't know who Kentucky Springs Distilling is. I mean, other than, part of Beam somehow. And the packaging on it is pretty unique. It's got kind of a loose-fitting paper wrapper held on by an actual wooden band that goes around the outside with a metal tag on the wooden band that says Basil Hayden's, and then has a kind of honestly goofy-looking BH in the center of it.
It's a little overpackaged.
Yeah, it is. I like what they were trying to do. It looks like some kind of fancy olive oil bottle.
Well, it'd be good to put olive oil in when you're done with it.
You're like, oh, I'm going to pick this one. It's cute. Quaint,
yeah. I will tell you, this was the very first purchase I made as a 21-year-old in a liquor store.
Well, you could have done a whole lot worse. It's
but
not bad.
I think it was upon a recommendation. But I immediately remember ripping the label off because it was just bothering me. Just...
Yeah, well, if you're trying to drink out of the bottle, it's hard to...
It's like it's got a jersey on.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the bottle. It's weird. A little cumbersome. And it looks better without it. Just the ring on there is slightly better to me.
Yeah.
Price point is $32.99. I think it retails anywhere, from there up into the mid-30s, which isn't bad.
Yeah, because we're fortunate enough to buy it cheaper than most anyone else that listens to this.
Yeah, it's slightly cheaper here. I think it's more like $36.
Probably so.
But good news is this is always readily available. You can always find it on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this in almost every liquor store around.
Yeah. Great gift bourbon. This and Eagle Rare I usually give as gifts. And Woodford. Those are like really good gift bourbons. In terms of like where this stands in relation to other products related to it, this is in the small batch collection of Jim Beam.
There's this one, which is Basil Hayden's, Knob Creek.
Mm-hmm.
There is Booker's and Baker's.
Correct, yeah.
I think that's it. The Baker's, I think, is the one I like best out of those.
Yeah, Baker's and Booker's are the highest proof. One of them's super high.
I can't remember which
say
one
like
it
120.
Is. Yeah, it might be. And then Knob Creek is a good one, too.
It's great. They're all really good.
And Knob Creek came out with, which they've got a maple Knob Creek out, which I don't get, but whatever. And then there's also a single barrel Knob Creek, which is, it's really good.
Very, very good. That we reviewed their rye.
Oh, yeah, Knob Creek makes a great rye. One of the best.
Yeah, if you want to refer back to that and listen to our review of that, you can always go to our website, revuedebourbon.com. Check out all our old episodes, but we did one specifically on Knob Creek rye. Do you remember when we first tried that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was when it first came out.
Yeah, right when it came out. That was kind of the beginning of us thinking about doing a podcast. So yeah, this is a Jim Beam product. It came about in 1992. It is 80 proof. It's a small batch. This is apparently the same mash bill as Old Granddad. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about, just who Basil Hayden is?
Well, Basil Hayden Sr., he got started distilling in 1796. And his revolution that he brought to distilling was mixing other grains in with the traditional corn base that we were using. And he added more rye to it, which is still the case today with the bourbon named after him.
So that was one of his innovations.
Yeah, and he actually, even back then, thought that the rye spice would would complement the sweet corn flavor that was in your typical bourbon made back in the late 1700s. And
you got to give it up to him for that.
Yeah. And
that's pretty huge.
He is, to my knowledge, the one that Old Granddad is named after. His
grandson.
His grandson
is Old Granddad.
Is Old Granddad.
Yes.
Okay.
But
and
the picture on Old Granddad is Basil Hayden.
That's something interesting I found. His family, you can go all the way back to the Third Crusade, and there was a man named Simon de Hayden who was knighted by Richard the Lionheart in the Holy Land in the 1190s. So, that, as far as I could tell, was when the Hayden family, became nobles. Then that allowed them to immigrate to the Virginia colony in the 1660s because that was back when it was a hard time to be a Catholic in Britain, and people were coming over to the new world.
Yeah,
and they came over and wound up actually settling in eventually in Nelson County, Kentucky. Well, it wasn't that back then, but that's where they wound up. And so that guy getting knighted during the Third Crusade. Without that, you might not have either one of these two, and no telling what else would be different with bourbon.
Rye wouldn't have come along at least till later.
Yeah, probably not, because that was Basil Hayden's thing, was adding the rye to the bourbon.
Whenever I
hear Sir Richard the Lionheart and Basil Hayden's have a connection. Think about that.
It's hard to think about. You mentioned the year 1190.
Yeah.
And immediately I'm just terrified. But first, we're going to taste the basil. So here we go.
All right.
Cheers. I'm excited. Boy, it really immediately came up through my nose.
Yeah.
Kind of like a horseradish.
For a bourbon, you get a lot of the rye there.
Big time. On the nose, I kind of get I get honey and minty kind of a mintiness.
Like the smells you get when you're outside somewhere in like a garden in the spring, like a flower garden.
There you go.
A lot of what you kind of take in there is some of that's in the flavor.
Yeah, I think kind of when I brush, this sounds ridiculous, but when I brush my hand through like a bunch of herbs in a garden and then smell my hand, it's kind of, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love herbs. You know, this is better than I remember. I've avoided it because of the proof, actually. It's always turned me off.
Yeah.
I need to get that out of my head.
Yeah, you get to drink more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a plus.
You know, so many of us are always constantly thinking, like, bang for the buck. Like, how can I get drunk the fastest? You're always wanting bartenders to pour heavy. That's not the way to go. You want a well-balanced drink. Let's talk about real quick where it pops up in popular culture. It was in an episode of Friends. That's for the ladies. I know we have tons of ladies that listen to this.
They like Friends, too.
Yeah, it's a good show. It has its place. It isn't an episode of Friends, so I don't know which one, but just go through all of them, and you'll stumble on it.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Finish at the end.
It's in a episode of Deadwood, which I've heard is a great show. It's an HBO show. Have you ever watched that?
Nope.
I haven't either. It's in a Fountains of Wayne song, which I have a couple of their albums.
Yeah, they're most people only know Stacy's mom. But they have some really good songs, I think.
No, they do. They're one of those bands that have like novelty themed songs. You know, they're all kind of novelty sounding, but they're good.
Yeah, but Stacy's mom has got it going on though.
I just remembered I saw Fountains of Wayne in New York.
Just remembered that.
No, I just did. I was in a tiny bar, and they finished with Stacy's mom, and they did like a slow acoustic version. Had a great time with that. And it's also referenced in a James Bond novel. Now you're asking, why haven't we talked about this before? Because this is a James Bond novel that was published in 2011.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were still writing them.
Well,
I thought they were just making shitty Bond movies now.
Yeah, they're not. Well, hey, hold on now. They're not shitty.
They are.
No, they're not.
Okay. Well,
they're at least good looking.
What was the one where he moped around in some like fucking canoe in Italy for like 2 days?
All right, let me finish this real quick.
Okay. The last good Bond was Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, see, a lot of people think that's the worst time of James Bond.
Really?
Yeah.
Goldeneye?
Yeah. They're considered...
Tomorrow Never Dies.
They're largely considered the darkest time for Bond.
Well, they started with Sean Connery.
Yes.
So, I mean...
Yeah, you kind of go downhill. Down from there. Roger Moore...
But they've gone so far downhill now.
I got into this argument the other day with somebody. They were talking shit about Her Majesty's Secret Service and some other ones. And I was like, you know what? There's something that I appreciate and like about every single Bond. I will stick up for everyone in one way or another.
I'll stick up for everyone except for 2.
Which ones?
Timothy Dalton.
I like those.
Daniel Craig.
Everybody's got their preference.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people...
Back to this novel. This was put out in 2011. It's called Carte Blanche, and it's by, obviously, not Ian Fleming.
No.
It's just by a dude. I didn't look into this very much, but I think he's trying to get his novel picked up for a new Bond movie. And Basil Hayden is the bourbon that he prefers in that novel. And I'd like to read the novel just for kicks. You know, see what's going on.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I think he essentially wants to write the screenplay for the next Bond. Anyway, let's get to the rating. What do you rate Basil Hayden?
Wayne. What scale?
1 to 10.
Just overall?
Overall, packaging, price, taste, everything.
A very solid 7.
I'm going to give it an 8. I was very impressed by it. I got to get that 80 proof out of my mind.
You know, I've not had this since a pretty young feller. Mm-hmm. And actually, oddly enough, I bought a bottle and drank the whole bottle by myself out of the bottle. It kind of sounds similar to your first Basil Hayden experience. Yeah. That was mine, too.
Yep.
I don't know.
All right, Wayne. It's time. Are you ready?
We're ready for
We're
what?
bringing back Quickdraw.
Oh, better pour a shot of old
yeah.
granddad.
Go ahead and fill us up there. Look out.
Quickdraw.
Gonna bring back some Quickdraw. Ha! This is, we haven't done it in a little while, and I've been getting the emails. They're coming out of my ears.
Emails out the ears.
Yeah.
That's even worse than out the wazoo.
People demand the Quickdraw. It's the people.
Cow.
It's not me.
Quickdraw.
Yeah, don't take it out on me. This is a Quickdraw centered around Kentucky and Jim Beam.
Oh, I'll be on my toes.
Yeah, you got to stay on your toes. Now,
I'm always on my toes.
As you know, these are a series of 5 questions in a matter of 60 seconds.
When will it may or may not start?
Here we go. Jim Beam was introduced in the 1700s, 1800s, or the 1900s?
17.
Correct. Which is not a Jim Beam product? Jim Beam Hardcore Cider, Jim Beam Spiced Cinnamon, Jim Beam Julep, Jim Beam Kentucky Fire.
None of them should be, but I'm going to go with, hardcore, no? Spice, the julep thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
What city in Kentucky manufactures Corvettes?
Bowling Green.
Correct. How many presidents are from Kentucky?
3.
Incorrect. What is the Kentucky state bird?
Cardinal.
That's correct. Wow. Yeah.
How many presidents were there?
0 from
No
Kentucky.
shit.
Yeah.
Well, at least we have Henry Clay, the dirty bastard.
Yeah, we'll take him. There might have been a few vice
What about
presidents.
Zachary Taylor?
No.
Where is he from?
I don't know. You could look it up on your Google machine.
Hold on, let me pull up my Google machine. Zachary Taylor was born in Virginia, and that was a random guess, 3, by the way. I should have guessed 1. I would have been closer.
Well, you were right by saying an
0.
odd number. Yeah. Odd number
But,
always.
But he was raised on a tobacco plantation outside Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Zachary
Good job.
Taylor.
I'm going to give you half a point for that. All right. Well, let's wrap things up before we get too wild here. All right. On this episode, we did lots of fun things. We had a cocktail called the Murphy Street Raspa 2.0.
One more point than the original.
Yeah, not to be confused with the 1.0. And if you'd like to see how we at Revue de Bourbon make that cocktail, you can visit us on our YouTube channel under, you guessed it, Revue de Bourbon. We've got a little video there of how to make the Murphy Street Raspa 2.0, so go check that out at YouTube. We moved on to Basil Hayden's, a nice review of that, a very favorable review, if you ask me.
A Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Oh, yeah. And then we did a Quickdraw with Wayne.
Cow.
Bringing it back. Real strong. He scored 4.5 out of 5.
That's pretty good.
Oh, it's amazing. I don't know anybody that could do better, to be honest.
Well, when it comes to random, completely useless knowledge, I do okay.
Yeah. And these were kind of like regional things that fit into...
And it's nothing that anyone would ever need to know to help them in their daily life.
Not necessarily.
No.
But you still got it.
I did. I mean, it's information that you should hear and then say, huh, that's cool, and then delete from your memory because it wastes brain space. But I've got that. It's in my head.
Well, you got a big head.
Yeah, I do. That's why I can't hardly find hats I like.
All right. Well, as always, I have been Dusty Pockets.
And I have been Wayne Fenster.
And we have been Revue de Bourbon collectively. And we have enjoyed every single moment we spent with you. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.
Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, look at this.
Different strokes for different folk.
No, I didn't have a fake ID.
Yeah.
I just act like I own the damn place.
Yeah.
And I was probably 18 and just kind of ran in there and grabbed it and was like, hey, Want to buy this bourbon?
Thanks, Lars Ulrich.